So we finally got a bunch of footage for Armored Core 6, and a lot of people have been posting their stuff. I've been watching so many things. It's kind of insane. So it's a good time, I would say, for people who were really looking forward to play this game, because finally we got footage from people and not just some person from Bandai Namco trying to just showcasing the game in a very slow manner. Like the footage they've shown in the morning yesterday was actually pretty nice. It was way better than the footage, the 4-minute footage that we had before. For sure, it was definitely better. But the most important thing was actually the footage from people who got to play the game. People like Fighting Cowboy, people like Vadi, people like Ouroboros, and all these people. They had like so many good things to show for the game, and I was so excited. I was so glad to see all that stuff. So I just wanted to give my opinion on the game overall and what I'm really looking forward to now that I've seen all this stuff. Now I'm no Armored Core player, right? I'm no Armored Core player. I never played an Armored Core game, but looking at this footage now, it definitely looks way less like a game that's trying to be like Dark Souls. I think that's something that I can say because, well, I'm a Dark Souls player, so I'm more of a post Souls from software fan. So yeah, so I'm definitely not an Armored Core player, but looking at it, yeah, it's definitely, I think it's definitely a game that is really trying to retain its authenticity, and I think that's the most important thing, especially for the era of video games we're in, where every game is trying to appeal to everybody and sacrificing so much of the charm just in order to appeal, right? I think that's a big problem that is like happening with video games in general. Now there's other things. There's still things that I'm definitely a little, I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. So I'll talk about it later. But I would really like to talk a lot about the things that I'm looking forward to when it comes to this game, because it's something that I've honestly I've been pretty worried about when I was thinking about playing this game. So I really like the movement in this game. So um, and I think a big part of it is probably coming from the hard lock on, because from what I've heard, the hard lock on, first of all, is you can target it with a button, similar to Souls. You just press your analog sticks. But apparently too, your hard lock on changes the way your mech is moving around. So you can hover to the sides easily, freely. You can hover to the sides while you're like locked on. Your character just kind of sways around. But if you are in a more regular lock on, your character literally spins. You literally spin around. You do spins. You have free rotation. Like it's a free camera that is locked onto a target, but it can actually but you might lose it if somebody's moving around too much. So it seems like there's a very technical part to it, but there's that freedom of movement now that you have, and you can switch between those things. I feel like there's a lot of technical movement that will come out from this. So I'm looking forward to it, and specifically I'm pretty interested in quad legs. Unfortunately, there's not been a lot of footage for quad legs. There's a little bit of like bits here and there, one from Cowboy, one from Vadi. I didn't see anybody else really try quad legs too much, and that's a little unfortunate. Their animations also you see the legs spinning around, and I'll check around if there's more footage. If somebody actually knows somebody with footage with quad legs, please show me, because I would really love to watch that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the movement the most when it comes to this game. The melee weapons, they've shown a lot of them. Actually, there's quite a bunch of them. I'm kind of interested in that chainsaw. I want to see what it is. I'm also glad because there hasn't been too much footage with things like dual wielding guns and stuff like that. I don't know if you can dual wield melee weapons. I don't think you can. They probably just stuck to your left arm, and that's about it. So I'm just happy that you can actually dual guns and stuff like that. You can make a full gun build, because obviously melee seems pretty good in general in this game. It does a ton of damage. It makes you move forward automatically towards a target and stuff like that. So It's interesting. There's definitely a lot of interesting stuff, and I like the amount of cover. Like there's a lot of like obstacles in the level. The levels are very big, and there's a lot of like ways to just cover yourself from attack, from taking damage and stuff like that. So, um, lots of nice things. We still don't know, obviously, because people just got to play, right? Because people had like a limited time to play the game. Um, Obviously, we still don't know a lot of things. We still don't know the amount of depth that there is to things like movement, for example. We still don't know the amount of depth that there is to things like charge weapons, because apparently you can charge your weapons. Some weapons can be just charged, and there's like some weird timing thing going on there. So the combo system as well with the stagger. There's a lot of little things that we still have to discover. So I'm just really glad that overall the game looks good like this when people played like actual people and not just like influencers or whatever. So it's good. It's been pretty nice, and it's really fast. They were like people are just moving around like crazy. The tanks look really insane. Like I'm mostly talking about things like tanks or quad because those are the more niche types, and I'm sure everybody would play bipedal legs, or everybody would play like reverse joint because they look cool, and bipedal just looks cool. You're a freaking Gundam, it's pretty cool. So but I'm more looking forward to things like tanks or even quad legs. So they look awesome. But yeah, so that's really all there is to it. I'm really excited to see more. I'm really excited to just play the game, honestly, because we're 1 month away. We're exactly 1 month away from the release, and I just want it. Now, if there's one little thing about this game, right? Actually, I would even say two little things about this game that I think is a little, I'm a little on the fence for that. So the first thing is not so much of a big deal. It's actually the repair kits, and it's not the fact that we have one. It's more about the boss fights. Like I say, I watched some boss fights, and I'm like, oh, their health is going down kind of fast, actually. And I was like, it would be pretty nice if they could also have at least one repair kit. I think that would make the fights a lot more interesting, but also it would also and like it would incentivize you to get better at staggering your enemies, because that way they don't get to use that health kit. I just think it would be a bit more interesting, in my opinion, if some of the buses could have that repair kit too. So yeah, I just at least one repair kit. That's all I would say. So I'm definitely not against the existence of that thing. The other thing I'm a little iffy about is definitely the checkpoints. So when it comes to checkpoints, I definitely understand why they have them. If the missions are so long, like they say, and the levels are so huge, because we didn't have quite the scale. We didn't have the scale or the idea of how big the levels are, how big the missions are, and it seems like they're pretty huge. So having something like the checkpoints, I think it makes sense, but I don't really like at all the idea of being able to completely change your mech over there. Obviously, you don't have access to the shop, but you do have access to all the parts that you have, and you can just change your build at will. It's a little bit broken, in my opinion, and I don't think it's really nice. Even for Souls games, you don't have access to such things. Like, sure, you can have checkpoints that you can come back to after leveling up or something like that, but going all the way to the fact that you can literally have a checkpoint and you can just rebuild your entire mech like that is kind of crazy. Like I said, even in Dark Souls, right? You imagine if you had a site of grace, right? And at every site of grace next to a boss, you can just respec. You have like Grenada thing. Somebody said that in one of the videos I was watching. I thought it was crazy. So I was like, wow, damn, Grenada at every site of grace. It's kind of busted. So it's like that's even in Dark Souls. Like that's something that's cool because your build is kind of committal. Every time you move to a boss fight, you are committed to a build already. You can swap your weapons, obviously, but you've already upgraded some of your weapons. You already have like some things that you don't want to change, right? So it's pretty committal. It's a committal game, and I think that's a good part of Dark Souls. It makes the part of overcoming challenge more fun because, for example, I played the first time I played Elden Ring, I was stuck with a shitty war pick hammer, and I was like, oh my god, I want to use this weapon. It looks cool. I don't know why I thought that. So I fought who's it? Margaret, the first boss, right? The first version of Margaret. I fought him for like 3 hours with that shitty thing, and I was committed to finish it like this. I did the same with three Sentinel. I was like, yeah, I want to beat three Sentinel with that shitty warp, and I did. Um, and yeah, and it's the part of the games I just think is like nice. I don't think you need to be able to just completely switch your stuff. Like coming up with a new strategy every time because you're at a boss fight, it's cool, but changing your stuff is kind of crazy. Now, one part that I like about the checkpoint is actually the fact that it affects the score. Like if you use a checkpoint, you won't be able to have S rank. Now I don't know in Armored Core what S rank does. Maybe it's just like a self accomplishment thing, or maybe there's like some reward to it. But I just think that honestly, the checkpoints, yeah, I think it's a good idea the way they made it. It's just like the fact that you can change your build. It's a little crazy. Now, another thing that I didn't pay attention to actually. Now, one thing that I didn't pay attention to when it comes to all the footage we got was what happens when you finish a mission. Like, how do they, take your money away? Like, I I still don't know if the repair kits are actually money tied. I still don't know if the checkpoints are money tied too. But I think it would be nice if it was the case. Um, I think the aspect of Armored Core that is the money game is kind of cool. Like even games today, there's games today that are still like that. You have like games like CS:GO, Valorant. They're money games. Like yeah, you have to manage the economy. It's a pretty big skill to have as well. So I think it's fine to have aspect like that. I just don't know if they dumbed it down. If they did, it would be kind of sad. But it's not a big deal either. Whatever. The game is cool, and that's what matters. So yeah, that's those are my thoughts on Armored Core 6 currently, and I think overall it looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to play it. And there's finally enough doubts that are a way for me to enjoy just watching and rewatching all the footage that we've had, because that's how I do things. I always rewatch stuff until I'm not tired of it. I rewatch this shit all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in. That's how I hype myself up basically. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like if you did. I'm looking forward to Armored Core 6. I wonder if we still make Armored Core 6 videos until the game releases, but at this point, I'm very satisfied with everything that I've watched. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.